Tacticooler has been prominent in the meta for over a year now, and I thought it would be interesting if I thought about what it would be like if it just ceased to exist. How would the gameplay change, how would the meta change, and how would people make comps? If you enjoy or find this interesting, consider leaving a like and comment if I should do this for another special in the future. Anyways, firstly, to know what removing Tacticooler would affect, we'd have to understand what Tacticooler does in the first place and why it's important. Tacticooler provides speed, which helps keep up with the fast-paced nature of the game, adding on to that with instant respawn so you can go in, rush them fast, and then die and respawn super fast, which led to the downfall of some weapons that relied on quick respawn in the past. For example, Tetradualies. The most overtuned part of the special is the special retention you get from it. Having 100% of your special after instantly respawning is a critical factor as to why Tacticooler is so good. So Tacticooler was already pretty decent, then we extended the drink's duration and deploy speed and some other stuff I'm going to go over. So let's go back. Tacticooler wasn't used very often before the meta development, so let's go back right before the first significant buff and just pretend it never existed. So at the time, Inkjet is dominating the meta after its radius buff and it being a sufficient counter to Crab Tank. Mainly, we saw it on Ballpoint, sometimes Rapid Deco. Cooler at the time was picked for respawn perks so you could come back fast after you died to an Inkjet, or to keep your Inkjet after dying. Now with these nerfs to Inkjet in patch 4.1, we're seeing a lot less of it, and now Zooka is starting to get picked more because of the buffs it received. And now Pencil is getting picked more because you get Cooler from a safe distance, and Zooka is being picked to counter Pencil. A lot is going on, but now let's go through this again, but without Cooler. Inkjet's still dominating, but now you can't respawn fast anymore with your Cooler because it doesn't exist. We could be seeing even more special spam to counter Inkjets now. So you know what ability the quick respawn and Cooler is derived from? Quick respawn. And remember, Tactic is what killed the quick respawn playstyles in the first place. So now that it's not here, we could see these return. So there is a bit of flexibility because now you can pick more weapons with a quick respawn playstyle, but now the downside is we're also spamming more specials to enable these quick respawn weapons, which leads to more special charge up and special saver being ran. So to sum up this first part, we see a lot more quick respawn, special charge up, and special power up being used. The special charge up and special saver are used to spam the entry specials that will enable our aggressive weapons that will try and go in, get kills, and if they don't get any value, they'll be back sooner with their quick respawn. Just keep in mind, significantly less quick respawn than the quick respawn Tacticooler gives you, and not as reliable. So what would this lead to? More fighting. Like a lot more fighting. The quick respawn would let you come back fast, which could basically justify feeding and just fighting everything you see in general. But now that Inkjet is out of the meta in patch 4.1, what's changing? We're still going to see a lot of fighting and special spam, but now quick respawn just isn't picked for countering Inkjet, because now it's picked for countering Zooka. Oh boy. So Zooka is very prominent after the buffs it got, so you run quick respawn to counter it now. However, quick respawn only activates if you don't get a kill on that life, so Zooka spam would just be even better than it was with Tacticooler. And since Zooka also counters Crab, how do you really counter Zooka now? With more Zookas. Oh my god, this is terrible. So what's the summary of this? We run at people with quick respawn trying to get kills just like all the time. We would see a lot of weapons like Dapples and Tetras, just to name a few that come to mind. The playstyle is stack a bunch of quick respawn if you're an aggressive weapon and try and get kills, mostly on the people with Zookas so you don't have to deal with fighting that special and risk dying, while other players on your team just get the specials to enable you. Just to clarify, I don't think we'll be seeing full teams of Zooka or just more than 2 Zookas on a team. I just think Zooka would be picked a lot more and it would cap at 2 Zookas max. Another thing, Ink Mines could possibly be seeing more use because of being able to trap people rushing in, however this is a very niche use case. I'm talking about Ink Mines specifically because I think if it were picked for this reason in this meta, I think one weapon would benefit from it the most, and that is Tenta Brella. I think we could see a lot more Tenta Brella because it literally has Zooka, which is prominent in this made up meta, and Ink Mine, which is good for trapping those opponents who are rushing in. Not to mention, the Tenta Brella shield itself can enable those aggressive weapons I talked about, and it can take 1 shot from Zooka, which may not sound like a lot, but remember that you only get 3 shots, and now the first shot is wasted, so you no longer have the element of surprise, and you could also just get rushed down. Moving forward, Zooka spam is falling off because of the nerfs, and people are starting to adapt. So what are we left with? because now we don't have annoying spam specials that will kill everybody. We're only really picking quick respawn for the assurance and fighting power. But the thing is, why are we even trying to focus so heavily on fighting anymore? We don't need to get rid of any annoying specials, right? I mean, not really. At this time, people are spamming specials like triple ink strikes anyway, but ink strikes are more for displacement and paint, not for killing like Zooka or Inkjet. And the only reason you would have to kill a strikes player is to delay retake or to stop them from contesting the zones, so there's not really a reason to be so heavily focused on fighting. Now you're only going to be fighting when it's needed, for example during pushes or while retaking, which is basically where we are now, and quite a breath of fresh air from where we came from. One last thing I want to cover is zone trees and how that would change. So it's still going to be a thing, because as long as those specials are in the game at their current state, it will always exist, unfortunately. But I want to talk about the execution. For example, one of the reasons zone streaks with Reef Slider is so safe is because you could do it after picking up a Tacticooler drink, and then you could just jump out fast with it after exploding. Or if you die with it, you could just respawn fast and most likely capture the zone while doing it. Now without Tacticooler, you don't have that assurance anymore, so it definitely will still be a thing. We might see Reef Slider being used a bit more strategically for capping the zone in a way that prioritizes life rather than forcing your way in and feeding to contest the zone, which I think is a positive overall. So what do I think about this new meta? I think that overall, having a Tacticooler in the game is a net positive. I like more fast-paced side of the game, and I feel like it enables more ways to play and helps a ton for retaking in a healthy way. While it may lead to some negatives and it may be a bit overtuned in some areas, it brings a lot more options to the game and was a needed counter for some things in the past. For not having Cooler, I think in the beginning it could be very annoying, but this was just the way the meta was at the time anyway, and I think we would live in the end. But I do think the way the meta has evolved with Cooler is better and more interesting than the one without. This was an interesting idea to look at, but this is just how I see it being, and there's a bunch of ways you can think about this. Anyways, hope you enjoyed. Be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you like this idea, and have a good one.